Hey everybody, it is Monster Maverick Show at our new time, which is 4 p.m. in the Eastern, which is where I live. And yeah, the time change was kind of wrecking me. Now that I'm at home all day with the kids and everything, I put the kids to bed and then I fall asleep, and so the 11 p.m. was pretty rough for me. So this is the new time, 4 o'clock. Also coming up next hour is Scaredy Cat Guide's investor show. So, we talk some investing themes, and then he'll have his investing show. So there's some crossover. I think it'll be a good back to back set of shows for you. Um, if you are watching the stream, I don't know how many people actually do, but you'll see behind me I have this green backdrop. This is my new green screen. On Zoom, it works great uh, because Zoom has very good, I guess, visual algorithms for detecting chroma key and stuff. Right now with OBS, it's much more finicky. So, one, I have to iron the thing, but also I need to get like lighting set up so that it creates greater contrast to make the backdrops really work. So yes, I have a very wrinkled green screen. I just when it ships to you, it comes in a small package and it's all folded up. So I just set this up yesterday, the day before, and but it's been lots of fun. So if any of you are gonna watch the Leo Finance roundtable that we had this morning, or that we recorded this morning, I don't know when Cal's gonna publish it. That you'll see how smooth it is in a Zoom virtual background setting. So it's fun. You'll see more improvements over time. I will iron it, for example. Uh, but yeah, the key with a finicky system like OBS and green screens is that you have to have the good lighting. So there's lighting up front and then less on the back. So I don't know if I'm actually going to invest in lighting, but we'll see. Anyway, on to actual Splinterlands kind of stuff. So, for those of you who have been living under a rock, we have a couple important things to go over. So, first and foremost is we have the halvening. So, Ag is huge on the halvening with Bitcoin, and he seems to be a big fan of the stock to flow model, which has some interesting points to it. But in commemoration, they created the Halfling Alchemist. So if you haven't seen the posts, let's see. Copy the link here for you. So what it is he's a 2 mana ranged fighter, and he's got a little bit of health, a little bit. He's got, I think, 1 armor, and his ability is that when he attacks a monster, it cuts that monster's attack in half, which is actually, pretty significant in some cases. So, like, I actually I actually did a battle with him and Yoda Zaku, which is the new summoner, which we'll get to in just a second. Which I am going to actually play for you. So let me transition here so you can see my screen here. And the key thing that you'll see in just a second, hopefully this isn't too loud for you. So I'm going against, I was messing around with it, Ron, with the chroma key settings and all that, and just I couldn't get the contrast right, and there's different shades because of the lighting. So yeah, lighting is a big part of it. Yeah, most of my issues are lighting. Yes, I agree. So, in this screen, oh, and Ron, you'll appreciate this. Look at this. Taking a screen cap, no sound. How do you like that? So here's the setup, and the Naga warrior has enrage, Naga, whatever, and so right now she's at 9. I don't know if this actually comes through on the. Oh, that's strange. When I take the screen cap, she went back to 5. I think I was just hovering over it. Yeah, okay, so there you can see that she's at 9, right? So then we play the battle a little bit. Blah, 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 reflect. Yeah, reflect. And so now she gets taken down to 5. what what is Grimslurp? Oh god. Yes. The other half of my fictitious duo is has good slurps. So basically, it's fantastic for anti rage, like with the Naga Warrior or with the I can't remember the fire monster or Stone Splitter Orc. Any of those guys. A good way to counter that. Also, if you have uh, like cases where you get um, let's say somebody has a 4 magic attack and you have void and then you hit him with the halve, now it's 2, they get down to 1. It can have synergies, which is really great. So the way they set up this promo was that you had to buy packs. And so for every 5 untamed packs you bought, you got one uh, alchemist. So there was going to be 10,000 available through the packs there, and then another 2,000 is going to be airdropped to players just throughout, people who play at least 5 matches a day. So of the 50,000 packs that those 10,000 would represent, 7712 have been sold. So that is yeah, that is a lot of packs, and you can see how that affected the airdrop. Right here. So, you know, there's been a couple things that have gone on synergistically. So one, a lot of people were taking advantage of the deck parity or the deck redemption that Splinterlands offers. So deck was trading around uh, half a cent per thousand, which is basically half off. Um, because you could trade them in for 1 cent per thousand towards packs, and the net result of that is, check out this new thing. That is Gerbot's new command. So Deck USD SE is Steam Engine. There's one for HE also for Hive Engine, but nobody trades on Hive Engine yet, so not really any good data there. But it's a nifty little tool that Gerber put in there, which I'm a big fan of because it means I don't need to manually update my spreadsheet. So anything that makes less work. But you can see this, deck has just been ripping for the last week or two, and you know people took advantage of the promotion. So we still have 2288 packs left. I imagine there will still be some support for Dark Energy Crystals having to do with that. The question is, once we hit the 50,000, all of those pack sales that have been made, I think were mostly internal to the Splinterlands ecosystem. So we did get a little bit of outside promo. We got this guy. Nice little write up on Decrypt, which had a funny line in it. Earlier this week, crypto collectible card game Splinterlands, which has been climbing up the ranks among the most popular blockchain gaming apps. And I'm like, climbing up the ranks? What are you talking about? I mean, it's like number one all the time. And it's not like it's using some different list. It links straight to State of the Dapps. So on this list, it's always number one, number two, maybe number three. So I don't know. That seems some editorial slander, I think. But anyway, so we got some outside press. But I mean, most of these packs are going to people who are already in the Splinterlands community. So we do know that if we look at where did I put it? Yeah, if we look at the Splinterlands stats, Warfowski's site, I actually brought up all the history. Where did it go? I wanted to look for booster packs. There we go. So it's kind of skewed because of releases and everything. But if we look there, we're averaging 2135 packs a day, which is actually a lot more than I thought it would be. Now that's skewed upwards because of these spikes, but let's call it, I don't know, 1500. Over the very long term. So, 50,000 packs are being of purchasing is being brought forward, because of the promotion. How many of those are going to continue after the promotion's over? So, uh, I don't know if Rafesky actually listens or reads anything. He does do his stats work. I know that, but yeah. So I think it's a very valid question as to how much packs are going to drop off after the promotion's done, and then as a result, con- you know, concurrent with that is I think the bid underlying the dark energy crystal market is going to decrease. So the I expect the price of deck to kind of peak and then and drop back a bit. How far? I don't know. The big next thing concerning dark energy crystals, as far as I'm aware, is the lands expansion, which I'm guessing is going to be, I don't know, end of summer, something like that. So it's going to be a ways away, basically. So in the meantime, I don't know how much dark energy crystals I'd be buying at this point. Battling for, absolutely. Can burning was averaging 2 months per 100K prior. Yeah, so we've got two legendary summoner airdrops now. We got and every 100,000 we get a new one. So we had Mimosa Nightshade, and then we just got Yoda Zaku, which I do have a link for somewhere. I don't know where I put it, but anyway, Yoda Zaku. He's the new fire summoner, or she's the I'm not. Is it male or female? I'm not even sure. Let's see. We got summoners, fire. Oh, it's a foxkin or something. I don't know. So TC says a deck will be fine. They mostly close the flipping hole, and SMUSD still buying 25 Steam worth of deck every 6 minutes. That is a lot. That is a lot, actually. And that's a good point. I had forgotten about the flipping exploit that was closed. But I still don't see enough buying pressure to support higher prices, at least in the near term. Long term is a different story. But for once this promotion is over, I think we'll see some relaxation there. But we got Yoda Zaku. That's the new legendary summoner. We got +1 ranged, +1 health, and blast on every monster, every friendly monster, which is kind of amazing. So if you actually look in that battle that I posted earlier, that I was using Yoden and the Halfling Alchemist. So I've been trying to kind of force Yoden into every match that I could, just to kind of get a feel for it, and it's pretty fun. Yeah, Gerber, what TC's talking about is a different thing than just buying and selling. It was a exploit using the merchant accounts to basically have a net positive or like free riding sales, basically. But yeah, the blast on every monster is kind of amazing. So when you have a high mana match, and you can go heavier on the archery, which is a little unusual for fire, because fire's always been focused around melee. So up till now, then you get great stuff, especially with things like trample, because you can blast, hit the front monster, blast the second one, possibly kill both at the same time, depending on circumstances, and then if you get a trample, you can do it again. One thing I did discover was that the halving ability of the Halfling Alchemist does not spread on blast. So if you hit one monster with halving, then it spreads to the others. The other ones don't get halved as well, which is kind of disappointing, honestly. But is what it is. So packs to deck to packs to airdrops. Yeah. So we're halfway to the next legendary summoner airdrop for Untamed, roughly, and you know if we maintain the pace that we were on, previously, then the it'll still be 2 months, and the daily churn of or the daily buying of packs will just go way down to compensate. So I don't know if that'll actually happen. We'll see. Because one thing that we have seen over the last season was, and Ag's very proud of this, is a record high in active users. So again, from Rafalski's site, we have a peak at the end of last season for active accounts for real players. If we include the ones that are, just doing the just transactions, transaction only accounts, that also has a similar peak. But typically, I like to look at the ones that are at least playing something. Includes the playing bots but not the trading bots. So, but it's proportional. And in terms of battles, we can see the same kind of pattern. So it's a nice uptrend. We were stalled out for a little while, but then the uptrend continued, I think. So that is good news. And with Steam being what it is, that is always good. So Steam troubles continue as far as reliability. We've had I've personally had a number of problems with Steam where the money laundering I think is mostly down to credit card verification, but I hope they fix that. I don't know. So with Steam, the nodes being unreliable, the micro forks and everything, it's been a problem. I've had a number of errors where like I click battle and it'll say something like pop up an error set. I forget what the exact text is, but it says something like there's an error publishing this transaction ignored. So it's like, okay, so I guess it retried it. Or I've had errors revealing a team where it goes back to the main screen, but then if I wait a little bit, it pops back into the battle. So it's been funky. So it's just as far as I'm concerned, it's just a matter of time before Splinterlands leaves Steam, and that's back to the same issues with the people who did not support Hive and have been excluded from the Hive airdrop, and whether they will stay with Splinterlands or leave or just dump everything. I don't know. It's been problematic, let's call it. But I have noticed a more conciliatory tone in the discussions in the Mavericks channel and things. So, I'm hopeful that if a shift does occur, which I think it will, then the Korean, especially it's mostly the Korean players. I think that at least some of them will stick around, but we'll see. And if not, there will be collections available for cheap. So that's always fun. And Foggy Bottom says, I would guess many players now must have most untamed cards. If new player base is really growing, then maybe pack sales will continue. Hard to know if new competitive players are really joining. It is hard to know. That is kind of a fundamental problem of how the game is structured. There's no Oracle system, so you don't really know if an account is a real person or just another bot. So it's hard to say. But as deck prices rise, the incentive to bot increases, because the faster you can flip out of that and then into some other crypto or some other fiat, then the better. So I don't see many new names in the top 100. Well, new names in the top 100 is not really necessary. I'd much rather have a whole lot of people in silver and gold than a few in the top tiers, because the wider the base, the more spread or the ability to spread we have for basically referrals. Because gaming is fundamentally a social a social activity. Even though you might do it by yourself, you talk about it with your friends. You brag. You have competitions. There's tournaments, all that kind of stuff. So I'm more interested in bodies than I am in dollars, at least at this point. Grab market share, and then from there, people can invest if they choose to, and assuming the incentives work out for that. And the incentives have certainly worked on me, on TC, on Foggy Bottom. So so I think it's at least somewhat effective. And yeah. So speaking of tournaments, we have the new in testing system. So yeah, silver and gold does hardly require any level cards. That is true, but is what it is basically at this point. I know that they're talking about working on the league system and all that jazz. That's all great, but fundamentally, my point is, more bodies is better. So in the Mavs, if you're a Monster Maverick, meaning you've bought at least 500 packs, then you have access to the test net where we are testing the anytime tournaments. So it looks like it's pretty well developed. I did not get on it yesterday. This is the first one I'm in, but hey, I'm in first place at the moment, which which is always good. So the way it works, at least currently, so a little sneak preview, is that so you register for a tournament and you check in, and for this one at least, there's a 24-hour window. So at any time in that 24 hours, you can go in and you can set up your teams. Now, because of the numbers of people in this particular tournament, I had to enter 13 different matches. So it pops up, just like a normal Splinterlands match. You get your rule set, you get your opponent, and you select your team. So I do that, and then I click submit. Now, then you do that 13 times basically in a row. At least for this one, it was 13 times. So if your opponent has already submitted their team against your team, you can actually watch it right then, or you can skip it and come back later. Or if your opponent has not submitted, then you're stuck waiting. So you can see up at the top here, it says all teams entered, battles fought, 5 of 13. So that means I'm waiting for 8 other players to enter their teams so that our battles can be processed. And once both teams are entered, then the battle happens and the results are available. So there's a couple weird things with this. There are potential exploits here with if you were to enter a bunch of teams. I know TC's talked about this in the chat. I'm not sure if it's good to actually process the battles as they occur, or if you want to wait until everybody's submitted and then process. I think that might be a little bit better. But that means you're stuck waiting until the very last minute, probably, because there's always going to be somebody who waits. But yeah, as a general principle, I mean, it took me 20 minutes to enter 13 teams, which is not bad. So, for me, I'm busy. I work a lot. I got kids. So, sitting around for a couple hours doing a Splinterlands tournament where, it's a live tournament is just impossible. So, I think I've done it twice total. But these anytime tournaments, I mean, that's much more attractive to a player like me. So the hope is, or my expectation is that a lot more people will take advantage of this tournament style and increase the competition amongst the tournaments. Because another issue with the deck, Dark Energy Crystals, is that the bot networks that have really gotten good at getting through tournaments, they're getting winnings, and presumably that creates marginal supply on the market. So the more competition there is in the tournaments, the less of that there is, which should be a positive for the deck price. So yeah, I agree. It's a good step forward. It definitely needs optimization. I know Jarvie had published a big list about his ideas for improvements, both on the player side and on the tournament creator side. So finish it. So yeah, it's it's progress. So I'm excited. I mean, this looks like it's pretty close to a release. I don't know whatever tweaks they're going to do based on our feedback, but it definitely works. It's a functional product at this point. So I mean, they could just throw it in there at any point. So I'm excited. And I think it'll be fun. So, so anytime tournaments, I think it's going to be checked off here in probably a week, maybe two. That would be my guess. So that is kind of the big updates. We got Yoden, we got the Halfling, and we're getting anytime tournaments, and Ag has said a number of times that everything got pushed back like 6 weeks because of the whole Steam Hive thing, and that appears to be accurate. So I think we'll be back on track as far as development goes, and I am a fan of that. So, and if you didn't watch that battle, I won. That's that's the important thing. Guild Wars boss fights next. Yes. So they've said all along that Guild Wars and boss fights were dependent on the anytime tournaments being done. So I don't know why that is exactly, but I guess something in the mechanic of it makes it work. I mean, Guild Wars. I mean, I guess will just be an anytime tournament between two guilds. I guess that makes sense. But boss fights, I have no idea. Don't even know what those are going to look like. Jessic posted this guy in chat a couple days ago, which was fun. Gold Matters is buying up more alpha gold dragons for Dark Energy crystals, actually. So yeah, I think originally he bought up all the lightning dragons, if I remember right. It was one of the other dragons, but I guess he's making a run at some of the other ones. And the argument he made originally was that it's just based on rarity, basically. I think there was like 17, I think it was lightning dragons. There was like 17 of that one and like 21 of another one. In fact, let's go ahead and look at peak monsters and see. Let's see. Oh. And of course, it has to be gold because it's gold. So let's see. It was a lightning. Yeah, 19, 21. Yeah, okay. So here we got one of the great things about the Peak Monsters market is the display of everything. So we got 21 total BCX on lightning dragons. On the chromatics, we've got 31. And on the gold dragons, we've got 37. So if we take a look at Gold Manor's collection, I'm assuming he keeps them there. So yeah, let's look at alphas. Let's look at the dragons. So got a bunch. So if you were planning on selling, alpha gold dragons, I think gold dragons will be the next target. If you want to part with yours, I don't know if anybody does, but you can probably make some decent premium. It doesn't seem to be too sensitive to price. I mean, 1701 for 6. What's the average there? So I think it's a little under $300, right? 1701 divided by 6, 283.50. That's a good chunk of change for cards that are almost unusable. So I wonder if I have any of those. Let me check here. Alpha, gold. Part of the problem with loading my collection is it takes forever. I know. First world problems. Oh, the only alpha gold dragon I have is Selenia, and I'm certainly not passing that one up. She's my girl. Stay away from Rondon's gold dragon. Gold Matters only buys gold foil, as far as I can tell. Yeah, I haven't done exhaustive research on it, but those are the big moves that he's made. Because gold matters. It's in the name. So it's clearly the thing to get. So yeah, let's see. Probably for the best, yes. One thing I did want to talk about a little bit, I meant to talk about it last week when we had the hive pump going on, is that, you know, it's weird. Okay, so if I posted a picture of the Steam chart, Steam versus Bitcoin, and this is going to get into a little bit psychological, I guess. So you see that giant wick on what was it? It was March 19th. We had a little pump, or we had a good pump actually from let's see, what's the low? Low was 23.92, and the close was 41.13, and then it goes up some more. It opens on March 19th of, let's see, the open was 41.29, and the high was 81.82. So that's a nice little pump. Yeah, I'm talking about gold dragons, Rondon, not just regular gold dragons. I think it's a unfortunate naming convention there, but it is what it is. So the the ability to pump steam exists, basically, and what I think we're going to see happen if we zoom out here. What I think we're going to see happen, and this is just my theory, is that yeah, it's 81 whatever it was, 8182. So when we zoom out there, uh, what I think is going to happen is that the Hive, the people who migrated to Hive are powering down their steam. They're in week whatever it is now, week 7, week 8, um, and maybe not week 8, maybe week 6, whatever. So those people are going to be powered down, and I think once that power down is done in Steam, then I think Justin Sun is going to take the opportunity to do his best to manipulate the Steam market and pump up the price. And that'll involve multiple things. It'll involve selling the Hive that he has, that he got through whatever he had on exchanges. It'll also probably involve bringing in outside money from Tron or whatever. And I think we're going to see a good run on Steam. And for him, it's a bragging point where you can say, "See, I told you so. These people, that were fighting me were morons. They should have stuck with me, and they would have enjoyed all these gains and whatever." It's a saving face kind of maneuver. And if he can get enough momentum out of it, maybe he can unload some of his bags, basically. Although he got in at a very good price, from what I understand. So yeah, but then the result of that for Splinterlands, I think, is that assuming Splinterlands is still tied, at least in some way, to Steam at the time, then I think it'll be a great opportunity. maybe buy Steam. I'm so like for me, like what I'm doing is I'm powering down. Well, I'm powering down both Hive and Steam. I got to, and I mentioned this on the Leo Roundtable that we recorded this morning. So I've got 2 Bitcoin out of it, and the rest of it I'm keeping liquid. And some goes into Steam, some goes into dark energy crystals, some goes into just sitting there waiting. So I'm at this point, my need for Bitcoin has been satisfied, and the rest is just trading. So I am expecting that rise, and if we get a nice pump out of that, I'll sell as best I can at good prices. But for Splinterlands, I think you're going to be able to sell cards for nice prices in crypto. Now, then that requires changing that out for whatever else you want, whether it's fiat or a different crypto or whatever. But I think we will have that opportunity going forward, and if we see Splinterlands still on Steam 100%, then I think there's going to possibly be some fraction of some fraction of new players coming in who are feeling Steam rich. So that's a possibility. Whether they stick around or not, debatable. I think we'd have to wait and see, but it might be good for a little additional pump on top of just the Steam price mechanics. So basically, whatever week we're in, whatever the difference between that and 13, And after that, I expect a pump soon to follow. I don't know exactly what soon will be, but it'll be not too far. So Leo and Deck better make me rich. Yeah, Scaredy Cat and I are both in agreement on, powering down because the, you know, the point of powering up Steam or Hive is to, gain your share of the inflation. And you could also argue maybe that there's some amount of influence that might come with that, social influence. But for most people, it's just however much of the inflation pool you can control, and both Scaredy Cat and I agree that that is not worth the downsides of being locked up for whatever it is, 13 weeks. Um, so so we're not. So we're powering down on both. And I know milking and farming, right? That's controlling a share of the inflation pool. So I have rented some steam power and some hive power with my liquid steam and hive, and I'm doing that. But it's basically just gamified at this point. The only reason to power up, yeah, pretty much. And I know that might hurt Crim's ears, but I don't know if she's actually listening or not. She tends to come into shows and then just just fake news the whole way through. So uh, I'm sure I will get a message if she is listening. But so far so good. Anyway, back to Yoda Zaku. It's the team. I think Yaba actually said specifically that. What am I looking at? Regular Summoners, Legendary. Oh, I'm in Dragons, that's why. That there are no plans to nerf Yoda Zaku, which I think is good because, they're the way they create cards with their point system versus mana. I think has been really effective. I think it's created really good balance. But one of the things I like to do is I like to look at the market the for a given type. So like legendary summoners would be one type because they have the same rarity and similar eventually similar kinds of print levels. Yeah, I mean fire already has a few blasts. That is true, but having everything have blast is pretty good. I like it a lot. I've been trying to cram it into as many matches as I can, but to some mixed results. But when it works, it's like gangbusters. You need those high mana matches because they're 7 mana, just like Mimosa. But right now we're seeing part of it's liquidity. Just that there's not as many people trading Yodans. There's 12 available versus 90 available for Mimosa, but we can see that the bid at least is higher on Yodin at the moment, so people are valuing it a little bit more than Mimosa, and obviously as more come on the market, that will come down. But it is interesting to see that the spread is so much greater. It's 960 by 1235 versus 1060 versus by 16. So that's a good chunk. And if we look at the price chart, I'm not a huge fan of the Peak Blasters price chart, but we saw that as of yesterday, it was going for 1336 per BCX, and it sold what? I can't really, not sure which point goes along because one says, oh here we go, 21 hours ago. Oh, it's only showing 3 sales at that point, so that's not great. 761 was the average price at 78 BCX sold, so that's a significant point. So people are interested, basically. I think that's the main point. Similar chart for Mimosa, you can see, volume is not quite as there's there's not as much volume. So people have you know, more satisfied with their levels of Mimosa than they are with Yodans, which makes sense because it's a new card and everything. But yeah, for the moment, there's good prices if you're a seller. So if you're a buyer, I'd probably wait a little bit, wait for more to be out there, and prices will probably come down to more like Mimosa. Because I think fundamentally, balance-wise, they are in the similar ballpark. And yeah, so um, interesting thing that on the golds, it's actually flipped. The Jodin has a narrower spread than Mimosa, so that's always interesting. But the gold legendary stuff, there's not so many of those being traded. That's one of the problems with golds in general, actually. Liquidity is an issue. I remember Ag one time asked me what I thought of Splinterlands as an investment, and I said, the returns have been fantastic, but it's not perfect, and one of the biggest issues is liquidity. So I mean, there is liquidity on the low end, um, but on the high end, it's pretty difficult. So unless you have a gold miners there waiting to buy all your gold cards, which doesn't happen too often, it's a little bit tough. You can always do the rental and play the game and do the cash flow thing, which is what I do. But as far as liquidating, actual capital value, it's tough. More players, more liquidity. Absolutely. So, the secret to all value is more players. And that is something I've been harping on for a long time. And I think it is, still true. But we do have I keep losing my chart. We do have more players, which is good. I like this trend line. So, yeah, we just got to keep on keeping on. I do something I have not gotten a good answer to, and I brought this up, last week, or 10 days ago, whenever the last show actually was growing growing incrementally is okay. The assuming the ambassador program gets back on track, that'll be good. That'll bring in something like hundreds of players if it's successful. But to really quantumly grow, to go from 5,000 to 20,000 to 50,000, whatever it is, something else needs to be done. So, and I don't know what that something else is. I'm always open to suggestions. And I'm sure the team would be open to suggestions. The Kickstarter stuff has been fun. It's mostly been internal buying though. The Tron Sesame Seed promotion brought in a few people, but we're not seeing the big jumps that I think we need to see. So if anybody has suggestions, Neil is open. What does that mean? Oh, I'm open to suggestions. Yes. So that's just my take. One thing that I thought was kind of interesting was I was taking a look at the Untamed market on Steam Engine, because these represent packs of Untamed, and I really thought this would drop a lot more, because whatever volume there would have been gone towards the Halfling promotion, but it's kind of just bouncing around between 5 and 6, as it has been, or 5 and 7 rather, for a couple weeks now. So we didn't see a big drop off, and there's some volume on it. So let's see if we just look at today. There's, I don't know, 100 or so packs that transacted, and then the day before there was this list cuts off, but it's there's like 200 there, so decent. If we look at, let's see if anything's going on with alphas. I have not actually checked this before the show, which I probably should, but is what it is. Let's see if Steam Engine actually loads. Okay. So not a whole lot of activity here. You can see that one actually sold today for 35 Steam. And if we go to beta packs, we had somebody selling beta packs earlier. It was either earlier today or yesterday. Yeah, they're going for a little bit, 273. Yeah, and I think the big sleeper is Orbs. So Orbs have been included as part of rewards now. Since whenever that change was, and the the number of orbs available for purchase is going down fairly rapidly. And if Steam Engine would load, that would still be great. So yeah, so they're going for cheap. They're going for $1.18 right now. Not a whole lot of volume, $34 worth in the last. That's interesting. I think you got to do Rich List Alpha 25. Like that. There we go. Am I on this list? I don't know how many alphas I have. Might just have one, actually. So yeah, Crypto Eater has a bunch. Foggy Bottom has a bunch. Inertia has a bunch. I guess Marky sold most of his, or I guess all of his. So I think Orbs are the big sleeper. I mean, there's a lot of great cards in Orbs, and they're running out. Let's go to the shop and see Orbs. So 42,000 remaining. So it took a while because they not that many people were buying them, but now that they're part of the rewards, they're going quick. So those are going to run out. Let's take a look actually, because we can look at just Orbs, I believe. Yeah. So I don't know if Rafalski is actually accounting for rewards orbs or just purchased orbs in this chart. But yeah, so some of my favorite cards are orbs. If we look at promos here, let's just do regular monsters. So yeah, Lord of Fire is a great card. Minotaur Warlord is pretty good. Not as useful as Lord of Fire. So, I mean, there's. Carry-On says Yoden is male, though could choose a female shape if he wanted. He's just mostly set on what you see in the card. Just purchased, yeah. So, I mean, when Orbs, the Pegasus and the Fire, Lord of Fire, those are great utility cards. Yes, it changed times, Gary. I made several posts about it, but it's okay. And you got a notification on Discord, so nobody to blame but yourself, basically. But anyway, once Orbs runs out, I expect these prices to rise because they are extremely useful cards. Minotaur Warlord maybe not as much, but Lord of Fire definitely. Corrupted Pegasus absolutely. So if you're looking for a medium term kind of flip, then I think I can't read. Didn't you write the book, Gary? He tweeted, Ron retweeted, all that stuff. All the stuff was done. If you were interested, you would have shown up. No, I'm kidding. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad everybody's here, really. So, yeah, so I think if you don't have any Corrupted Pegasus and Lord of Fire, I would definitely pick some up. Those are, I think, going to be going up in price. I know, it's very sad, Ron. The pings, the posts, the twits, Carrie still hates my show. It's very sad. I can barely sleep at night over it. But yeah, so I think that is most of the news for this week. We had the updates. I don't know if I actually published or actually posted it, but it's kind of kind of well-trod ground at this point. The Swiss anytime tournaments. I don't know if they're really Swiss or not, but whatever. Um, the pack transfers, actually, that is a nice thing. So if this part, you can move packs through the game rather than doing it through the engines now, which is nice. So that's a nice little feature. Uh, the crew was at Virtual Blockchain Week. I think they got like a 5-minute clip or something like that. I didn't actually watch it. I don't know if anybody else did. If you did, let me know on the curation posts. I usually get curated by Steam Monsters automatically, so I don't do a whole lot of promotion there. Um, so yeah, those were the updates. So far the I don't know if you call them public relations or whatever, but there was the thing on, what was it, AMC, the cable channel, and then Virtual Blockchain Week. Those are not translating into a lot of players. I mean, maybe, so we got that recent pop in all-time high players, so maybe we got some of those from Virtual Blockchain, possibly. I'm not going to discount that, but it's not, it's trickles of things. It's not the hyper growth that we need to see to support the whole thing. But slowly but surely, hopefully we'll get there. As far as market values go, if I go to my collection, which I use as my proxy because I have a pretty good spread of stuff. So we're at 65,790 right there. I always use the market value. Sorry, it's just people bang on the door, even though I tell them I'm doing something. The joys of kids. Yeah, so that's been hanging out in the 60s lately. From, I think the all-time high when Untamed was released was like 92 or 94. Virtual Blockchain was good. Basic Splinterlands information summarized though, great. And I hope we see people come in from that. So let's take a look at the Splinterlands state of the dApps. Let's see. Active users. So I'm always suspect about how they come up with these numbers, but it is showing a little bit of an uptick before the way they count things just drops off to nothing, which seems like a bad way to count, but what are you going to do? Well, that's the way they count stuff. So if we go back to a couple days ago for the 30th, we might have gotten that little blip. That might have been a direct result from Virtual Blockchain, and if so, great. I'm not downplaying that, but I'm just saying we need more. And at least the impression that I get from Ag is that they want player promotion. Guys going out like Matt Clark has done for a long time now of doing like hand-to-hand combat for for new players, and that's great and all, but I don't think that's really going to get it. I think we need some kind of like genuine marketing push that's effective, and not just banner ads on whatever. So yeah, that's the downer of the current news. I think there's been no movement on that. Development is progressing. We're getting anytime tournaments soon. TC Polymath, you need to submit your teams because I'm pretty sure you're at 0 here. Because I want to see if I win. Although it will be over in 24 hours, one way or the other. But yeah, that's that's the negative. All the other things I think are working, but just marketing needs to be done. Effective marketing for a crypto app. Yes. So the one good thing is that we have the halving coming up, so there's going to be a lot of press around that. I know that people in crypto feel like there already has been a lot of press about it, but that's not. It's a very you're inside the bubble there. For mainstream people, they have no idea about anything. So, but there will be some press around Bitcoin, popular press around Bitcoin related to that. So, what I did want to take a look at here was, why am I looking at this one? I have it over here. So, if we compare Bitcoin to SPX, let's say, SP 500. So you can see that the correlation has been, kind of. This is Bitcoin divided by the S&P, so it's relating one to the other. If it was perfectly flat, that would mean that they're moving exactly together in the same percentages. But we're seeing some bouncing around. But like what we want to see is a decorrelation, like we saw in this run from end of March 19 up through June of 19. And I honestly don't care if it's positive or negative. I just want to see it being separated. So, because the reason for that is I want to see Bitcoin seen as an alternative financial asset in the mainstream mind. So that it's like, oh, I can invest in stocks, I can invest in bonds, I can invest in gold, or I can invest in Bitcoin. And if that becomes part of the mental choice in the investment landscape, then that will funnel more people into crypto. And as we know, some fraction of those people will find their way into Splinter Lands and grow our user base that way. So that would be some, just being part of the crypto universe benefit. But I will take it. So the more players, the better. And we are coming up on the end of the show. We got about 90 seconds left. So if there's any last things you wanted to hear about, let me know real quick. Otherwise, we'll be just about done. So bottom line, Orbs, Orb cards, I think those will be a good buy. Dark Engine crystals, I wouldn't chase the price, but if you want to accumulate for lands purposes, then I think that'll be good, because given the history, that whatever whatever system they come up with, it's gonna be beneficial to buy in if you're already invested in the ecosystem. So I've got about 2 million Dark Energy crystals. I'll be buying some lands. I don't know how much they're going to cost. I don't know what percentage that's worth, but that's my plan. And with that, we'll see you next week. This is the new time, 4 o'clock Eastern. It's like 2000 UTC, whatever that works out to be. And next up is Scaredy Cat Guide with his investment show. So stay tuned for that.